What is up, everybody, and welcome to CTW Live. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me today, Rob Haytayan. And folks, we've made it. We've made it. It's 2025 Media Day for the Boston Celtics. Of course, we've been watching a couple of other Media Days trickle in last week, but it is the official day one of the Boston Celtics season. Let's face it, I think this is the first day of the season. Right? This is where players step back into the public light. We're seeing all the players talk again. And we're going to see them talk a lot more throughout the rest of the season, all the way until the Celtics, I don't want to say get eliminated, but that's maybe where this is heading this year. We won't always win the championship, but let's face it, we'll see these players until a team either wins the championship or is eliminated from contending for the championship at the end of the season. But Rob, how are we doing today? It's Media Day. It feels like this is kind of the first day of school, although we had a little orientation yesterday with the Al Horford signing.
We did.
Yet today we're back and it's official. We're back here. We're live. It's Media Day. The Celtics are back. How we feel?
I'm excited. I feel like there's a lot of things to be excited about today. Especially seeing Jason Tatum suited up with the braids, and you see Brown and Pritchard. The old faces come in and do their thing. Jaylen Brown was live streaming on Twitch, I believe, throughout some of the media day, and then seeing the new faces. You saw Boucher, Minot, Garza, Simons. I think I'm very excited. I think the vibes are a lot higher than I expected. Amongst the players that are within the Celtics lineup in organization this year. And I will say something that made me feel even more excited from a personal level. Seamus, is I think the vibe I got and the biggest takeaway I got was that everybody that's wearing a Celtics uniform this year is happy to be in that uniform and wanted to be in that uniform. And I think that's huge for a season that's coming up for the Celtics and what it could look like. So I'm excited. You're so right. Media Day is the start in my brain. It's the start of the NBA season. You see everybody in their new threads. You see it. You see the players come back, and you get the funny quotes and the funny pictures, and the excitement with throughout the league is there, and it's definitely back. I think for Celtics fans, fast off season, it feels like the Celtics got eliminated from in the second round of the playoffs just yesterday. Quick turnaround, even though it was a normal turnaround and actually a longer turnaround than us Celtics fans were used to for the past couple years. But it went by quick. I'm excited, and I don't know about you, but I don't know. I think I got the vibes are a little bit back. I know some C's fans are down, but I'm keeping it positive.
Well, I'm sorry, but the entire team has been positive this entire time, even though we've seen moves made. Drew Holiday out the door, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford signs with the Warriors, Cornette with the Spurs. I mean, those are all shockers. I mean, they're not shockers from what we knew this offseason could be, but they're shocks to the system when it comes to the players who are actually going to be playing out on court. And then you see all the players who are acquired over the summer, whether it's Garza, Minot. We had Niang for that short little minute there. I mean, that'll be a memory in Celtics Nation, right? I remember those couple weeks where we had Niang, literally those 4 weeks, that month we had Niang. But ultimately, all those names coming in, the fan base is going to look at the situation without a lot of confidence, knowing what just came of the situation the last couple of years, contending for a championship, for the finals. This next season, we know, not necessarily a contending year for the Celtics, especially when Brad Stevens is sitting up there in front of everybody saying, we'll basically see how it goes when it comes to the center rotation. Let it play out, right? That was his quote. Let it play out. We're going to let it play out. This year, the Celtics likely not contending, but everybody within the Celtics organization, as you said, they're happy to be there. And that's kind of been the vibe at Media Day so far, is that everybody with the Celtics, I mean, they want to take that next step wherever their opportunity actually is. Because let's face it, for Tatum, he's on the road to recovery. That's his next opportunity, is how can he get better on his road to recovery? Jaylen Brown has obviously been recovering from his meniscus surgery over the offseason. Now he's going to be that number one guy next year. It's how can he improve within that role? And then you have all the guys on the back end of the roster, all the new rookies, Garza and Minot coming over from the Timberwolves, not getting too many minutes, but playing for multiple seasons. I mean, they want to see their roles elevated. And the rookies, of course, they want to see their roles. I mean, they want to make the rotation. They want to make the team essentially at the end of the roster. So everybody on the Celtics roster, they have an outlook for improvement. right? And
Right.
Joe Mazzulla, this is where you have to give Joe Mazzulla credit. Is a lot of players have said, I mean, a lot of the new players too have said, he's very accepting. He's very inspiring. That's what Josh Minot say. He's a very inspiring figure, and he's ultimately somebody that believes in his players and sets that tone within the organization. And that's why I think you see a lot of the positive reception at Celtics media days. That tone set by Joe Mazzulla. I mean, he's talked a lot today, and obviously all the players have as well. But media day, it's always going to be positive across the league. We all know. I mean, the Utah Jazz are probably out there in Salt Lake City right now talking about how great their season is going to be when we all know where they're finishing at the end of the day. But the Celtics, on the other hand, they actually have an opportunity to do something. And a huge conversation within the Celtics, either doing something this season, as in competing, or not competing, not doing something, is Jason Tatum, right? The Jason
Right.
Tatum conversation. Jason Tatum, it seems as if, right? It seemed as if, rather, at the beginning of the offseason, we weren't going to see Tatum. We weren't going to see Tatum for I mean, we knew the foreseeable future, but usually Achilles injuries. Next season, we were ruling that out already. We are going, he's probably missing all of next season. That's what typically happens. Yet this offseason, been a lot of rumors, a lot of leaks about Tatum's workouts and how he's progressing. And then, of course, we saw the video the other day. And, of course, Brad Stevens as well earlier this morning talking about how Tatum stole his treadmill 3 weeks ago from him. Tatum seems to be on the road to recovery right now. I mean, he's been constantly on the road to recovery, but a much more
Right.
progressive road, right? A faster paced road. And now Tatum seems to be, I mean, the media tour the other day came out with the media tour, a lot of positive things to say on that media tour. And then today at Media Day, a lot of positive there as well. Rob, what are your thoughts on Jason Tatum potentially coming back this season now, given all of the new information we're actually receiving from Tatum himself, but not only Tatum himself, but the rest of the Celtics organization, some of the positivity, some of the expectations that they're not going to be a bottom feeder team. They're actually going to try to compete, maybe not for a championship, but be in that competitive field of teams to potentially put themselves in a spot where Tatum makes a decision on whether or not he comes back, whether
Yeah,
or not to come back.
I think there's a couple different factors that are going to play into this thing. And you said something that I think is like the biggest factor, and that's the progression. And I really like how you said that, right? Because right now, Tatum's progressing beautifully, right? He's 19 and a half weeks in, approaching on his 20th week. He is ahead of schedule. That strength in that calf is coming back. We have seen him in basketball activities now. We saw the video he dropped on his YouTube channel, right? So right now, the progression factor, Seamus, is going beautifully and is way ahead of schedule. I think what's important is that progression going to continue at this rate? And I think if it does continue at this rate, you're going to see Jason Tatum by the turn of the new year and in that area, because he is ahead of schedule. Every report that we're seeing from any medical professional regarding the Jason Tatum Achilles injury is that he is ahead of schedule in the surgery that was done, and how it was done is going to allow for that strength in that calf to come back and for Jason Tatum to make a full, I put emphasis on full recovery. I think the second part of this equation here, you also touched on, and it's going to be an aspect that you got to consider right now if you're a Celtics fan. If the Celtics are sitting at the turn of the new year in their 15 and or their 12 and 22, 23, 24, 25, I don't know, right? Whatever it might be, you might look at yourself in your Brad and your Tatum, and you're going to sit down and say, is this worth it right now? Maybe we bring you back on the last 15 games of the year, play you every other day, get you a little extra run, right, in that time frame. But I don't see a world in which the Celtics are kind of at the bottom of the conference, right? Which I don't see that happening, but I do think there's a world where it could happen. And they'd say, okay, JT, we're bringing you back, and we're bringing you back in January, and we're going to make a crazy push, because that's just unrealistic. Because Tatum's going to need a month of managing minutes and on a minute restriction and kind of ramping back up into real NBA play. So I do think those two factors, excuse me, are really going to really dictate how the ship sails. And then just from my own personal perspective on this thing, I think it is important you wait until he's 100%. I don't think there's not a worry in my brain that or anything that's come out to make me believe that they're going to do that. I don't think Tatum's camp. I don't think Tatum. I don't think the Celtics organization. I don't think anybody wants to put him back on the court when he's not 100%. But I do believe 100% is a lot closer than what people were expecting and what people currently expect, Seamus. I do believe that 100% is in the horizon and Tatum is starting to approach it.
My thing, when I look at that video, right, the video that came out the other day, first off, whoever produces Jason Tatum's YouTube vlogs,
Brett Hampton.
100% clip that 20 seconds together with the intention of spreading it out to the public taking a hold of it and then spreading it even farther, because that clip right there was thrown in to show us all, oh, yep, this is behind the scenes what Tatum is doing right now. And that clip, I mean, 20 seconds, it was perfect too. I mean, the way it started out to the end, I mean, the whole segment, 20 seconds, boom, boom, done. Right? I mean, it's up right now on the Celtics Talk Weekly Instagram page, as well as the Celtics.everyday Instagram page. Everybody go check those out. After the broadcast or during the broadcast, either or.
Swipe on.
Either or, it's 2025. People might have multiple devices, just saying. But we have that out there. It was the perfect 20 seconds. And the thing about that perfect 20 seconds is when I see that, my first thought is if he's doing that now, right, and he's progressing like that now.
What's 2 months look like?
Well, 2 months, but look later down the line, right? What about January, February, March? January, February, March. That's not too far away, but it's also, if he's doing that now, I mean, we talked on the phone earlier. What if Tatum is at a point where he does hit 100% recovery by, say, December or early January? Is Tatum really going to sit there for the next 5 months and watch the Celtics just play basketball while he's able to play? Yeah. And what, he's just going to sit there and go, well, I guess I'm just going to sit out the whole season, because that's usually what guys with Achilles injuries do. Oh, I don't want to rush myself back. And Tatum's a competitive person as well. I mean, we forget how competitive some of these professional athletes are. I mean, they are chomping at the bit, especially when they sustain injuries. They are chomping at the bit to get back out there. And that's definitely the mentality Tatum's running with. I mean, we heard all the quotes that came out from Tatum's media tour last week, and from all the quotes, you can tell Tatum, when that injury happened, I mean, it was like he said literally his entire basketball life flashed before his eyes. I mean, he wants to get back there out there on court, and if he reaches the 100% recovery mark in, say, December, January, and I agree with you, Rob. There's going to be a month in there where there's going to have to be some level of progression within practices, 5-on-5 practices, and that's going to be hard too, because teams don't practice during the season. I mean, the Celtics might go out of their way to schedule practices just so Jason Tatum can be revamped and re-injected into the system. But that's where I see in the middle of the season, there's going to have to be some practice period for Tatum to ramp up into the season. And furthermore, when he comes back, there's going to be some level of minutes restriction. I mean, we saw Tatum in that game 4. He was playing every single minute. And not only was he playing every single minute, but he was handling the ball on nearly every single offensive possession. And people underrate, for the top stars of the league, how much endurance is needed to play that position of the star, handling the ball the whole game. I mean, you're not just standing in the corner. It's like you're making things happen, especially Tatum that night. I had a little bit of a critique against Tatum during game 4, going, you need to, the way the Celtics won ball games, especially in 2024, was getting the entire team involved, a collaborative effort. And Tatum in that game 4, he was doing everything himself. Now, he was amazing while doing so. Could he have got a little, others involved? Sure, but he was doing everything himself, and that was part of the equation for him tearing his Achilles. He was doing everything himself, playing major minutes, and not only that, he was, since 2017, since the moment Tatum came into the league, entered the NBA, he's played the most minutes out of anybody. So getting Tatum back on court, he's not going to have that workload whatsoever. And you'd have to think too, the Celtics, this is what's going to be very interesting when the conversation comes up. When Tatum actually returns, this conversation is going to come up. Brown will have reps under his belt as the number one guy at that point, consistent reps where he's been the number one guy for weeks, if not months, if not an entire season. What does it look like when Tatum comes back between those two trying to be the number one guy? Obviously, we think, okay, well, Tatum, he is that number one guy. But if he's coming back and he's on a minutes restriction, and they're trying to lighten the load a little bit on Tatum, and Brown's been that number one guy. How does that mesh, and what does that look like? And again, it really, that question too is a huge factor later on down the line, specifically at the middle of this season. If Tatum is ready to go, is it worth bringing Tatum back if the Celtics are under 500? Maybe Brown is doing well, but the team isn't doing well, right? And we're going, okay, this little experiment with Brown at the top is going well. Maybe the team outside of Brown, we know it's like, okay, Minot, Garza, Queta, oh, we're playing all these guys. Maybe the team isn't as great. And that's where I look at this and go, this could go so many different directions with Tatum, depending on what his recovery looks like, when he actually recovers fully, right? Because at this point, I mean, he probably feels good. And it's all about the strength in that tendon, the strength. I mean, it's things we really can't even see, or I would say as a person feel, because clearly he feels healthy enough to go out there and dribble a basketball and run around. I mean, I don't know about you, but every time I go out on a basketball court, it's like there's no limit. I don't know about you, I'm not a 50% guy. It's like every time I'm out there on the court, it's like I'm going 100%. That I would have to think Tatum and a lot of professional athletes are of the same nature. It's like they go out there, they want to give 100%. And that's what I'm thinking. Tatum, I'm thinking he's on that same energy level too, of when we're watching that 20-second video, he is not giving, say, game 4, like I'm diving on the floor for every ball, like that type of effort. But if he's working out, it's like I think he's going like fairly hard here. And that's the thing, is like when does he fully recover, and what does the Celtics situation actually look like? Because right now everything is just a massive projection out, and it's based on the rate we've seen. But we all know these things change when we actually see real basketball play out on the floor, and time, of course, moves on.
Well, that's what we love about the regular season, right? We said this all last year. It's like the ultimate study guide for the test, which is the NBA playoffs, right? Like we come into, and that's the new exciting part about the NBA season. You come in with all these questions, you're waiting for them to be answered, and they don't get answered until April. But in regards to Tatum, I think the biggest thing, and there's 2 points here I want to make. The first being one you just touched on was, the biggest thing for JT right now, I think, is one, like you said, getting that strength back, and 2, getting to the level of explosion that he was at before, right? Because obviously that's the goal here. Really the goal for Tatum, because he's only 27, right? This isn't a 34-year-old coming back from an Achilles, right? This isn't Damian Lillard. No, Jason Tatum is still in the prime of his career, ascending, right? He's still in the ascension of his career. He is looking to become better than what he was last time we saw him, which is just a scary thought to think that can even get any better. But that's the biggest thing right now, I think, with Tatum. Or I think they're about a month away from that, where they're like, okay, explosion time, right? We need to get that explosion back. I think right now, like you said, he's absolutely able to go out there, run around, do those cuts, do those motions, right? Like almost like it's like a normal workout, I want to say. But that jump from a normal workout to NBA level play is such a big jump. And that's I think they're starting the process to, okay, let's get you back to that NBA level play. The second point here about Jason Tatum, and this is the hard one for me to wrap my head around, and you also kind of touched on this, right? This isn't what we're seeing, right? The NBA season's not even here yet. It starts in 4 weeks. So that does not look like a guy that needs 13 months to come back and play basketball, right? There's not a season in June, right? It's not like, oh, okay, yeah, Tatum will come back next year. That starts in June. Like, no, that's an extra 4 months. And again, more time's good time, but everything we've seen, every step of the way of recovery, Seamus, has been, oh my God, he's doing that faster than I thought. Oh my God, he's walking faster than I thought. Oh my God, he's playing basketball faster than I thought. Why at that rate would it not be, oh my God, Jason Tatum hit 100% faster than I thought? Right? So how is that every step of the road of recovery can be faster than I thought, faster than I thought, faster than I thought? So if that's how the recovery works, I'm no doctor. My guess is his return to 100% is faster than we think.
And I'm thinking about this too. We also talked on the phone about this. The muscle mass when you are not playing or lifting, like people who lift weights, right? If you lift weights for weeks, months, years, right? And then just take a week off, couple days off, a week, even a month, right? I mean, time is subjective there. But if you take a little bit of time off, that muscle mass starts to go away. Now, the
Right.
conversation here is, well, what if Tatum is ready to go, say in January, February, right? Is it good? Is it really a good thing to hold him out until October? Right?
Right.
Because if he's ready to go, he's going, I'm ramping up. I want to play the season. Is it really worth it to hold him out all the way until October to the point where if he goes all the way until October of 2026 without playing a game, that will be what? That'll be
15
so
months.
that'll 15 months, right? Okay, so I mean,
16.
well, let's see. It would be don't
17.
want to do the I don't
17
want to do the
months.
finger counting. Finger count
17. So
because it's one of those
12.
which do we count part of October and part of May? We'll go the rogue May October month, but May, June, July, August, September, October,
So 18.
November, December plus 9.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what number I was on. But
17. So
anyway,
17.
regardless, not
17.
important, folks.
17.
It'd be a
There we go.
long
We got
time
it.
versus under a year, right? Under
Right.
a year versus over a year by 3-4 months, right? So that, I mean, it could be better. I'm just saying, I'm no doctor here. We're no medical professionals here on
Right.
CTW Live, but we've, I mean, I'm not. I was almost trying to validate us here, like Bill Simmons. Like we play pickup ball. Like, come on now. Like we've looked up MD stuff before. Like we're internet MDs. But regardless, right? The prospect of potentially sitting him out an NBA game, like playing 0 NBA games in a year and in some change time frame, versus ramping him up and then bringing him back. I understand there's an argument with the ramping him up and bringing him back right away that says, well, if you ramp him up and bring him back right away, and he's played the most minutes in the NBA since 2017, that data beforehand mixed with the data now of bringing him back sooner and giving him less rest could potentially cause something further on down the line versus just giving him that rest. But there's another argument that states too much rest is not a good thing either. I mean, too much rest could potentially put him in a spot where when he comes back, he's maybe not as effective. It takes him longer to actually come back. And then all of a
Right.
sudden, when you're not as effective or you haven't played in a game in a year and you're rusty and you're coming back, things could happen in terms of potential injuries, right? That's when the potential for injury comes up, is when you're put into an environment you haven't been in a year and a half versus,
Right.
oh yeah, I was here 8 months ago. Yes, I was injured here 8 months ago, but I ramped up and now I'm right back here. See, I think that was part of the argument with Porzingis last year too, is this illness, right? Is it this illness, or is he just not in shape, right? Is he
Right.
just not in shape? Is this just a massive excuse for Porzingis not being in shape? It's like, would it just be better, say for Porzingis and Horford last year? Now Horford, I understand, older gentleman, all right, older
Right.
gentleman out there. You have to preserve his knees. But for some guys, like maybe they need to play more, right? Maybe they need to play more. Maybe they need to be in better shape. Like if they were in better shape, they would have better durability. Like that's
Right.
the bottom line. So that's a huge conversation when it comes to specifically Jason Tatum, is what the projection could potentially look like. I think the end result of all of this, first of all, it's going to be such a special day when Jason Tatum comes back,
Woo,
because
cannot wait.
it just feels like we entered, like it's like when the waning and the waxing moon, right? It's like when the
Right.
moon goes from full to away. It's like when we won the championship, the moon was full, right? And when Tatum was hurt, that's when the moon just
Shut.
completely turned
Yeah.
away, right? We couldn't see the moon. And now it's like, all right, let's bring that moon back. Like when Tatum returns, like that moon's coming back or that moon's
Yeah.
return.
Right.
Like that's kind of how I see the situation with the Celtics right now. Is the entire offseason's been about Tatum's injured and the team is changing. It's like when Tatum comes back, the Celtics are going to be ramping back up into being a definitive contender again, rather than just retooling to become a contender.
And
Uh,
I also think, just real quick here, I know we got to move on, but I think the biggest, like, if anyone's confused, right? I think what both of us are kind of saying, we're not saying rush him back, right? What we're saying is we think he's going to be ready to go way earlier than we think. And if he's ready to go, don't hold him, right? If the Celtics are good and they're in the mix, right? And they're you see that light at the end of the tunnel, the moon, right? You can see that moon shining, and it's like, oh, there's a window to kind of try this. You do it. Don't hold him. If he's not ready, don't play him. We're not saying any of that. We're not saying to rush him back. We're not like the Celtics need him. The Celtics need him. Yes, the Celtics need him, but the Celtics need him at 100%. That's what we're saying.
Sorry, folks. Shout out to Scott Air Force Base. They're well, I shouldn't even say this on broadcast, but it's like I got helicopters flying all around me here, so I had to kill the mic there for a second. But no, ultimately, yeah, we're not saying rush him back. What I want to see is the best case scenario, right? The best case scenario to me is Tatum feels 100% healthy, and you know what? Like, I don't know if there's really a best case scenario other than Tatum coming back at any time. He could come back halfway through this season. He could come back next season. It's just as long as he comes back and becomes the Jason Tatum we all knew back in 2024, and specifically the last two seasons, 23, 24, and 24, 25. I mean, that was the peak Jason Tatum. I mean, 24, 25, that's what makes that injury just so devastating, is Tatum was at his peak. He was at the peak of his powers when he went down. I mean, game 4 at MSG, not quite an elimination game, but almost an elimination spot, staring a 3-1 deficit in the face. I mean, Tatum was at the peak of his powers. That's the end result everybody wants to see, including Jason Tatum himself, is Jason Tatum returns back to, and I think we all have realistic expectations of Tatum will not be what he was in that game in game 4 right away. Like, he's just not going to be that. He's gonna have to. There's gonna have to be some time, but ultimately we want to. At no matter how much time it takes, that's my whole point here. Whether it's this season, next season, it's like just patience. We want to see him return to that and not jeopardize not jeopardize ultimately what that was in the future, right? It's like we could see that Tatum again, but if again, Brad Stevens, I mean, he mentioned it a lot in his press conference today, or rather his interview with Caleb Burton and Mark D'Amico and Drew Carter on NBC. He mentioned in his interview that Tatum and everybody he's working with, Nick saying, all the trainers, all the medical professionals, they don't want to skip steps. So it's all about hitting those steps and allowing Tatum to progress back to where he was with patience, right? Patience is the name of the game. But ultimately, with patience, it could be the other way, right? Sometimes you have patience and go, oh, wait, I'm next in line. Here we go. That's kind of where we're at with Tatum, where we go, okay, we're patient, but if he's next in line, if he wants to come back and he's ready and all the steps have been hit, I mean, there's a definite world and there's a scenario. I mean, I was on the entirety of the offseason, a lot of the offseason, I was on the train of, I don't even want to see him next year. I don't. I want to see him on the bench. I want to see him in street clothes. He's played all these minutes. The Celtics are taking a step back. Just go ahead and rest. It's an Achilles injury. You don't want to mess with those things, because if you tear it again, I mean, Deshaun Watson, he tore his Achilles twice. Now, that was close together, but we all know, I mean, knee injuries, Achilles injuries, you start tearing those ligaments multiple times, not great. The chance of one getting back to where they were before, I mean, it becomes less and less and less. So that's the thing about Tatum, is just, again, patiently coming back, patiently, patiently, patiently. But I was on the train of not wanting to see him next season, but ultimately, from the progression we've seen thus far and the determination from Tatum, this is one of those things where, as an outsider, I go, you know what? I have this idea of what the plan would be, but when you're an outsider and not an insider, the person who actually feels their own body, who is there by themselves on a day-to-day basis, the people they're around, it's like they have a different idea. It's like, I think Tatum this summer, right? When I'm thinking, he's going to be out all next season, Tatum is thinking, maybe not, right? So ultimately, whatever we say on here, I mean, the insiders, when it comes to the actual players, coaches, training staff, sometimes they have a much different idea for what should happen relative to what the public perception actually is. However, the public perception, I will say, talking about that on the Celtics roster right now, not too great. Okay, not too great. It seems as if people in Celtic Nation, they're definitely not excited about this summer. I'll say that. They're not excited about this summer, but it also seems like there's some of this doom and gloom for the players coming in. And I feel as if that's a little unfair. because I think today at media day, some of these players' personalities stuck out and personally told me, oh, when that player, ex-player, was in a room with Brad Stevens or Wick Grosbeck or whoever was there, front office wise, Mike Zarin, whoever was there, front office wise, ownership wise, when that player, free agent wise or draft wise, was in front of the Celtics team, he displayed professionalism, he displayed maturity, he displayed all the things that were needed in order for the Celtics to go, you know what, we want that guy on our team. I think we saw a couple of names display that today at media day. But from your side, Rob, who are some of the more interesting names on the Celtics roster, specifically from the new guys, right? The list of new
Yeah.
guys. Who are some of the names today that stuck out to you as, oh, I didn't know this guy's personality was like this, or oh, this guy kind of stuck out for this. Who are the guys who stuck out to you out of the new guys today?
I mean, there's two that come to mind. Minot takes the cake for me. I thought Minot not knowing where Foxborough was and that whole thing was hilarious. And then Boucher. I really liked about Boucher and the fact that, Joe Mazzulla he got baptized last week and Mazzulla was there. I really like those two. Those two stood out to me a lot. I will also say, I think Anthony Simons was the prototypical like big name star you brought in, and he gave the big name star. I put in air quotes because he's really not a big name star, but he gave all those big name star answers within the media. He's excited to be here. He's excited to unlock the next step. He's heard so much about from people that got traded to Boston, all those things, which is all great things you want to hear. And then also. Luka Garza was great too. I loved what Luka Garza was doing. Just from like you said, like a personality standpoint. I love what they had. And you're so right. The public perception on this team is super down in the dumps. And it's actually funny you bring that up because me and Franco were talking right before we went live here. Obviously, Franco's right now at a work event, so you might hear from him later on the show. But we were talking.
UMass. Shout out
UMass. Shout out UMass.
Maybe we shouldn't have given out that location. Nowadays,
the fine for
the
Franco.
One viewer in here right now
looking for Franco. But a lot of people are kind of down in the dumps, and my opinion on that is I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I think it's really, really, really easy to look at the Celtics team and the roster and the direction of the organization, and to look all that had departed, to look who departed this offseason and be like really down in the dumps on the outlook of this team. But if you actually look at what they brought in, you can kind of start to kind of see a vision. And, yes, it's really easy to look at what left and be like, oh, that was a championship team. And we love those guys and Porzingis and Luke and Al and Drew. I mean, those were guys that Boston loved, right? The fan base loved them. They were core players to a championship team. They were brought here to win a championship and they delivered. But then if you take a step back, you kind of look like, okay, from a talent perspective, in a direction standpoint, you mentioned earlier in the show, like opportunity is arriving in Boston, and all the guys that signed here in Boston, right? I'm talking not traded, signed. They're looking for opportunity, and you just got to hope that some of those guys capitalize on that opportunity. Which, in anything we know, Joe Mazzulla knows how to capitalize on growth and player development and opportunity. So I think there's a lot to be excited about. Like just like how I started the show, and for me, the new guys, they checked the boxes. I think you saw a lot of fun, goofy personalities. I think you saw a lot of serious professionalism. And I think you saw a dynamic within the guys that were like, oh, yeah, we're a team. We're here. We're ready to get to camp, and we're ready to get this thing rolling. I did not see a team that is going to enter the season and try to tank for a draft pick. It was down in the dumps that their best player is out, and I didn't see that. And if I did see that, I would have called him out for it, but I didn't. So I don't know about you, Seamus, but for me, a couple of those guys, Garza, Minot, Boucher, I liked what they had to say. Simons, I thought he was very professional, all of them professional, but I do see the vision, maybe not a championship banner raise vision, but I see a vision.
And there are a lot of guys on this roster, right, at the back end that I believe the Celtics, the roadmap is for all these guys on the back end, such as Garza, such as Minot, such as all the rookies who just came in. The roadmap is the Celtics develop these players who have absolutely no value whatsoever they have value in terms of do teams, they're somewhat interested, but their value as developmental projects, right? It's like, oh, here's here's the blueprint to this, right? There's no house, but here's a plan on how to build a house. Well, ultimately, the Celtics want to build that house like they did with Sam Hauser, like they did with Imai Skata, like they did with Peyton Pritchard, with Luke Cornett, players who started out as minimum guys, two-way guys, guys on the back end of the roster. They're on the 13th. If you look at the rotation, right, 13th, 14th, 15th in minutes, the Celtics turned those guys into $10 million a year guys, right? Where all of a sudden Luke Cornett is walking out the door for $10 million per year. Daniel Tice, another one of these names, right? Celtics sign
Sam
him from
Hauser, very
overseas,
own.
right? And $10 million, $10 million. That's the salary range, right? You want to take guys from 2 million to 10 million, right? You want to take them because Daniel Tice, Cornett, and Hauser all went from 2 to 10. Even Peyton Pritchard too, even though he's unfortunately not at 10. My heart.
Robert Williams, another one,
Yeah, I would say him too. 100% because
Grant
he was the
Williams.
27th overall pick. He was picked lower than Pritchard. Now I will say Robert Williams. There was lottery buzz around him, but it was because of what we're seeing play out now. Is there were injury concerns, longevity concerns, and now all of a sudden Robert Williams played 26 games in 2 years after dealing with injury after injury after injury with the Celtics. But he's another name too. Made $14 million with the Celtics and the 27th overall pick. Right, the Celtics turned the 27th overall pick into their starting center. Well, that's where the Celtics are right now with their big man rotation. I mean, look at the entire big man rotation. You have the 4 big guys out there right now for the Celtics. You have Garza, who the Celtics are hoping to turn from. This guy didn't get many minutes with the Pistons, the Timberwolves. Could he be your starting center? Keita? The Kings waived him in 2023, right? Kings just, we'll get rid of him. Celtics pick him up, put him on their roster. He could be the Celtics starting center on opening night. Tillman was a player the Celtics traded Lamar Stevens for. And we thought he'd be the next Al Horford, which we all know likely not going to happen unless a miracle.
Right.
We've heard a lot of things in the offseason, press conference-wise, Brad Stevens, whoever. Tillman, dealing with a little injury, maybe next season. It's like, I got to see it first. I got to see more than 7 minutes per night. And you have Amari Williams. Think of Amari Williams. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for him. Things going to be – I think here's the thing with Amari Williams. I think he's going to be a little bit more prepared than people expect because – people forget, right? He only played 1 year at Kentucky, and people think, oh, yeah, he's coming out 1 year at Kentucky. He's a little raw, right? He played 4 seasons at Drexel before playing at Kentucky because when he was asked about coming up to Boston, the area in New England, right? Amari Williams answered, yeah, I've been to the Northeast before, the East Coast. I was in Philadelphia at Drexel for 4 years, and then immediately it was shut down. It's like, oh, no. Philadelphia is no Boston here. Philadelphia is no Boston. But the point was there, he's already been in the United States. Amari Williams is from Nottingham, England, right? He's already been in the United States for half of a decade. Right. 4 years in Philadelphia with Drexel, transfers to Kentucky, plays in the NCAA tournament last year in March Madness. And then he's drafted in the second round by the Celtics, plays Summer League there. He was one of the more impressive players at Summer League. I think Amari Williams, he's going to shock some people early on with how much of an impact he could make as a two-way player. And he would be a prime candidate for me if you look at Sam Hauser, what he was able to do 3 seasons ago. Wow, already 3-4 seasons ago. Four. But literally the same thing there, where a two-way player, you go, wait, but this player has definitive value within this rotation. I think Amari Williams is going to shock some people. But ultimately, the big man rotation, all of those guys, right? The Celtics need a big man, right? You can say Boucher, part big man too. You can throw him in there too. But the Celtics need a big man. They're not going to be able to play small ball all year. Some of those guys, they're going to have to play major minutes. Major minutes. And that's what the Celtics are hoping is within those major minutes, those guys turn into valuable rotation players that later on down the line, it only takes a couple, right? It's not as if the Celtics are building an entire football team. It's like, oh, our O-line is a mess right now. It's like, no, you have a starting 5, which, to put that into perspective, if you're a football team, your O-line's messed up. That's all basketball has to worry about. An O-line is 5 guys. It's like that's all that's on court for basketball.
And then maybe we got a running back or a receiver while you're at it too, right? Like on the back end, maybe 2 extra guys off the bench.
Exactly. And it's like that it only takes one or two guys. I mean, look at the Celtics championship squad. It was almost the exact same squad, and a couple, guys off the end. The championship squad and last year's squad was nearly the same exact squad. And the bench was Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser. But you look at two of those players, right? Sam Hauser, I mean, he's a player that was a two-way guy for the Celtics. They turned into a real rotation piece. So out of the 9 guys, right, the 9 guys the Celtics were consistently playing, like one of those guys, two-way guy, another one of those guys, Peyton Pritchard, 26th overall pick. I mean, that's a low end. I mean, that's Hugo Gonzalez was the 28th overall pick. Robert Williams, again, starter with the Celtics, almost the defensive player of the year, 27th overall pick. Hugo's 28th overall. Can you turn him into a rotation guy, right? At the back end of the at the back end of the roster. But the roadmap is there, right? Luke Cornett, too, minimum guy. So you could say, right, the championship year, the Celtics had Horford, Pritchard, Cornett, Hauser off the bench primarily, right? Those 4 guys primarily. Primarily. I feel like I'm missing a name, but those 4 guys just, right? In terms of rotation, I know the roster, there was a lot more of a bench, but those 4 guys. You have Horford, who the Celtics brought back via a trade, right? Okay, so that's almost like Simons in a way, I would say. That's comparable to Simons. Then you have Pritchard, picked 26th overall in the first round. That's like Hugo Gonzalez. And then you have Luke Cornett, who was basically a two-way. He was a two-way guy at first, and then a minimum guy, if I'm not mistaken. He's definitely a minimum guy. But that's almost comparing anybody on a two-way now. Amari Williams, Max Shulga, RJ Lewis, Minot, Garza aren't on two ways, but those guys, like bringing a minimum guy in here into the Celtics organization. Garza, Minot, very comparable to bringing Cornett into the organization. And then you go down the list, Sam Hauser, same thing. Bring him into the organization as an undrafted player, stick him on a two-way deal. That's like Amari Williams, that's like Max Shulga, that's like those guys. So the guys at the back end of the roster, the Celtics, the last half decade, there are comparisons, there are definitive roadmaps in place for the guys on the back end of the rosters to succeed in the future in place of these other guys who, in some circumstances, unfortunately, exited the facility because they're too good. They're making too much money in the Celtics. That's part of the name of the game, is replacing the back end of you're really supplementing your rotation with those extra guys you find value in developing, right? The Celtics have a ton of those guys this year. A ton of them.
Can we be brutally honest too? And this might be a take people don't really love, but let's be brutally honest here for a second. Last year was kind of a mess rotation-wise for Boston in the regular season. Let's not forget that. It was kind of a mess. You had Walsh and Shireman and a lot of these guys playing spot minutes, right? You had Porzingis, who only played 42 games. Holiday missed 20 games. Horford missed 22 games. Cornett missed a little bit of time, not a lot of time. Hauser missed extended period of time, right? Last year was a year of juggling rotation, in a rotation that didn't really have much time and attention towards the back end of the roster, right? So for me, I look at this fast forward a year where the back end of the roster actually did have a lot of time and care for, right? And in my head, you're really losing 2 key pieces, right? One of them being the Jason Tatum, right? I think if the season outlook looks a lot different if Jason Tatum's in this lineup. I'm going to say that, and that matters if he's healthy. But other than that, Luke Cornett, because the way I look at it, right? You swap Holiday for Simons. What Holiday gave you on the defensive end of the floor, Simons can bring you to the offensive end of the floor. Maybe not to that level. You're losing some defensive ability, but you're bringing something back, and that something is actually very, very good. It's 20-point per game score, right? There's value there. You lose Porzingis, right? And I know that's tough because when he played, it made that team. He was the X factor, right? He made them unbeatable. So we thought, and then the playoff show came around.
He made them unbeatable until he was part of the reason in which they were getting beat.
Exactly, right? Literally, exactly. But he missed 50% of all games all time in a Celtic uniform. We had Kristaps Porzingis every other day of the week, essentially. We had KP on Monday, and then Tuesday we didn't have him. And then we had him on Wednesday, and then Thursday we didn't have him. So this team managed to be very, very successful last year. A 61-win team, if I'm not mistaken, 61, 62,
I believe it
61?
was 61.
61
I
win
want to
team
say it was 61.
with
I want to
juggling
say.
a roster that needed the back end of the rotation to contribute, but there was no attention and time and care taken for that back end of the rotation. So again, I want to stress this, right? If Jason Tatum was healthy, and again, I know it's for speaking this, but that's the biggest thing in my head, right? It's like, oh, okay, like, last year's roster versus this year's roster. The only big difference in my eyes in terms of regular season success and being in winning games and contending for a title, maybe not domination, but contention, is you don't have Jason Tatum. But the Celtics aren't faced. They brought in Boucher. In my eyes, he can replicate a lot of what Al Horford did for these guys from a spacing, shooting, defense, rebounding perspective. I think you lose some playmaking, and you obviously lose that locker room presence that is Al Horford. But they brought in Boucher. Okay, that's the Al Horford replacement. Okay, you brought in Simons. There's another punch, that little extra, the little extra fluff that Holiday was. Holiday was fluff. Simons is fluff, right? You lose Porzingis, who you only had every other day, and Cornette stings, right? It's like, okay, that's really, if you break it down, that's how I view this thing. And again, maybe I'm being way too optimistic, Seamus, but it's like, okay, if Tatum's in the lineup, you're looking at a starting lineup of Pritchard/Simons, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Neemias Queta. Coming off the bench, you have a unit of Simons/Pritchard, Boucher, and Hauser. That's an 8-man rotation. Is that not a pretty stellar 8-man rotation in this Eastern Conference?
And there's a lot of room to improve within that too, because I hate to say it, because I am a Simons guy. I'm a Simons believer,
Right. And you're
but
not
that
financially
Simons
screwed.
contract, you could potentially turn that, like, say you, and this is again where the whole development and getting these guys on smaller contracts too is so valuable. Pritchard is a starting level guard, right? We know this
Yeah.
now. His best role might be off the bench, but he is a starting level guard. I mean, he basically just won MVP of the bench players last year. I mean, he's basically the best bench player in the entire NBA. He's a starting level guard. You could have him start under a $7 million contract, and then that $27 million contract from Anthony Simons, could you split that up? Could you split it up
Yeah.
into an $18 million player and a $9 million player, something of that nature, right? And then all of a sudden you
Absolutely.
have, right? I mean, you have two guys off the bench making 18 million, 9. I mean, that would be, and now obviously to find two of those guys for one Anthony Simons might be a little tough, but who knows? Anthony Simons, he's only 26 years old. He'll be 26 all of next season. Might boost his stock to the point where the Celtics go, okay, we have a little bit of a redundancy issue with Pritchard and Simons. Other teams want Simons. Let's keep Pritchard let's keep Pritchard, but let's get rid of the redundancy in Simons and actually get something for Simons out there. That's what's so interesting about this period right now of the Celtics, is that there are some pieces in place for the Celtics to mobilize, but it's all about getting to that window and getting to the result, hitting the data points until we're actually to that window where the Celtics can mobilize. I mean, that was a huge point I believe I made on a broadcast earlier this summer, is the Celtics, what people were so enamored with the last couple of seasons is the Celtics were in mobilization of going out and adding the final, like if you look at the Thanos glove, right? The Celtics were always in pursuit of adding the final stone of the Infinity Glove to take out the rest of the league, right? And instead, right now, all of those stones are all over the place, right? Like the Celtics are not in a position to be adding the final stone to conquer the rest of the NBA. The Celtics are just not in that position. What the Celtics are in position of is gathering the stones to eventually put them in their places to the point where you can add that final piece to then contend for a championship. So the Celtics, if you look at it, it's like instead of being at the end where everybody's been accustomed to being for basically this entire decade, since 2021, since the Celtics turned the corner in that 21-22 season, since that point, I mean, Derek White was the start. It's been about adding that extra, like that next stone, right? It's up here, right? If we were looking on camera, it's up here, right, in the timeline. But ultimately, Celtics have been sent all the way back into now arranging stones, gathering stones for that moment. And that's part of why right now, I mean, the Celtics are in the position they're in. I mean, they're in a regathering state. But that's the thing, is it's almost like putting troops on a border, right? Where you're going, okay, troops on the border, we haven't invaded yet, right? The Celtics haven't invaded. They haven't invaded other
Right.
teams to go. I mean, say for example, the Celtics when they trade for Derek White, right? That's part of the invasion, right? It's like, oh, we are invading with Josh Richardson and Romeo Langford in a future first and getting back Derek White for a result, right? That is the Celtics invading. Now the Celtics, it's like they have all these pieces and all these tanks and all these soldiers on the border. It's just how are they going to move across the border and invade to eventually achieve the result and conquer the country ultimately, which would be the rest of the league. But
Right.
that is that right now. I see the roster. It's again, I go back to the football analogy. Football, I mean, week to week, O lines are a mess. It's like, oh, D line, who's playing? Now D line, O line's a little more complicated than the other side of the ball on the D line. Some guys you just go, sick them. The O line, there's a blocking scheme to it. But
Right.
in basketball, it's process of elimination. Like you're saying, with those guys you mentioned, that's an 8-man rotation. If you split Simons into two, that's a 9-man rotation. And then say there's another guy off the bench, right? A Garza, a Minot, somebody who
Yes.
actually develops. And I want to point out too, Garza and Minot are still in developmental stages. Garza, a little bit further along, seems a little bit more seems like he has a little bit more to his game that could be apparent early on. Because I mean, Minot's just a younger player, but that's the point. Is Minot? I mean, he's our age, and he might be even younger than us, depending on where we actually which month we were born in, basically. But Minot. I mean, he's our age. He could develop into something that he could develop into a player that plays within the Celtics rotation. And again, it's not that far away, right? It's not that far away from where you need to get to. It's a rotation of 8, 9 guys. That's all you need. That's the thing is like this time of the year, people spend way too much. I shouldn't say everybody. It's more the NBA diehards. I'll say that. It's usually people like us. We're always talking about, oh, the 15th roster spot and 14th. And it's like, those guys matter for the whole developing into something else, but in terms of play, when it comes down to it, I mean, the NBA finals were only a couple months ago. The playoffs were a couple months ago. You see at the end of the game, 5 best players out on the floor, and
Exactly.
throughout the game, some playoff games, coaches only trust 2 players off their bench, or maybe a third player. It's like fourth player in the playoffs is actually that's where Oklahoma City's huge advantage was gained this past season is just their depth. They were able to go so far. I mean, both teams in the finals, right? You could say both of those teams could play 11 players. Now, some of them were big guys and different positions. You could, depending on what the matchup was, 11 or 10 or 9. But those teams could play almost 11 guys. The depth is what is ultimately important, and that's where the Celtics, I think, right now, the top piece of the roster is more established than people want to give it credit for. I think that
100%.
and Franco, he's not now. Let me. He's not on here, is he? Okay, he's not on
No,
here. Not
I was
on here.
checking too.
I don't know because I want him to give out this take, but Franco has a take about next year's defense that I feel like is
Yes.
important, but I'll let him give that out on the broadcast whenever. But next year's team, is it going to be as good as the last 2 years? No. Okay. Are the players at the top going to solidify a roster the way that or rather, are they going to solidify wins the way the last 2 years, those rosters solidified wins? No, because I mean a big part of it is the defensive end of the floor. I think next year offensively, the Celtics had the potential to be pretty potent with Jalen Brown, Anthony Simons, Peyton Pritchard. I mean, those are bucket getters. But defensively, you're looking going, I don't know. That being said, the talent at the top of the roster is certainly there. And with talent, I mean, it's not only about the talent that actually appears on court, it's about the talent you can trade away, right?
Right.
Or can deal, right? Or what talent are other teams interested in? Simons, he was a player that was interested, or that player, he was a player that teams were interested in at the deadline last year. So, not saying this year necessarily. Maybe there is an extension in Simons's future, and then after that, that's what happened with Josh Richardson. Josh Richardson enters the Celtics facility. Celtics give him a 1-year extension, and then that extension, of course, allowed the Celtics to essentially trade Josh Richardson and
Yeah.
end up with Romeo Lang or not end up with Romeo Langford.
Derek
Derek
White.
White. He was alongside Romeo Langford. But ultimately, that's where the Celtics are at right now on this media day. But what I find interesting, though about media day is I gotta say the entirety of the NBA, right, comes through media day, and we have all these different personalities come through, and some of them are a lot more accepting to media day. Joe Mazzulla, I want to give this note real quick. Joe Mazzulla earlier, I mean, he looked like, first of all, he's in his element coaching a basketball team. Practice, sideline, in his element, right? I mean, Joe Mazzulla is a tactical strategist. I can tell. Okay, he's in his element coaching a basketball team. Doing media day stuff and going and sitting in front of
Not his
all of
forte.
us and getting interviewed and taking photos. I mean, Joe Mazzulla, I mean, don't get me wrong, good guy. But man, looked like he hated his job today at
He
media
did.
day during the
He
interviews.
did.
Man looked like he hated his
He
job.
did.
His real job is coaching a basketball team. That's when he's in his element. But man, the media stuff, Joe Mazzulla. I mean, he was like a guy coming out of a 9 to 5, just like, okay, I'm up here now. It's like, it's like,
That's
okay,
just
we're
too
doing stuff.
that's just who Joe is. But listen here, Seamus, I gotta run. So I'm gonna leave the floor to you guys. My quick little final take before I dip here. I'm excited. I think this is gonna be a good year. I think there's a lot of good, fun, positive stuff to take away from Media Day. And I'm very, very excited to our 2025-26 journey to cover it on Celtics Talk Weekly. But again, I'm excited, and I think this Media Day was a good one. And I know it might be a little gloomy, but when it rains, there's always sunshine that comes, fellas. And trust me, I think the sunshine's going to come a little sooner. So, Seamus, I'll catch you. Good luck, and we'll talk.
Yes, Rob, it's been good. Good luck
Time
to
to go
you
learn
wherever you're
about
going as
marketing and
well.
advertisement. Woo!
All right, wait. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I was a little worried about the transition. First of all, good farewell, send off to Rob. Very much appreciate all of my guys here at Celtics Talk Weekly. But I was like, oh, the transition. But I think we got the transition all squared away there. However, this is the we're getting pretty close here to the end though. Gonna close this out here with a couple more words on the Boston Celtics, but media day for every team out there. There's so much positivity that every team spreads. I mean, like I said earlier, the Utah Jazz, they're probably out there in Salt Lake City right now talking about how great their season's going to be. And we all know the Utah Jazz might be the 15th best team in the Western Conference. But ultimately, the Celtics, I just continue to, every time the Celtics players or coaching staff or the executive front office, right? Every time they come in front of a camera, just reminds us how the Celtics organization just runs a little bit differently than the rest of the organizations littering the landscape of the NBA. The Boston Celtics are always about progression, right? Progressing forward and taking the next step, or rather taking the next steps in order to achieve success, right? And there's always a definitive direction in place. I think that's something that I've always admired about the Boston Celtics is the definitive direction in place, right? Even when it feels like there's no direction right now, or rather seems like there's no direction to the fan base, there's 100% a direction. And it really, that direction is what we were just talking about with Rob on here. I mean, when right before Rob left here, talking about how the Celtics, they're not that far away from creating a contending lineup, right? A contending rotation. And that's where the Celtics are at. They are right at the border getting ready to invade. The definitive plan is in place. The plan in place right now is Jason Tatum. You're recovering. I mean, Jason Tatum, he is, if the Celtics are going to win another title, he's going to have to be out on court. So first of all, he has to be squared away. Jason Tatum, he has to recover. Okay, Jason Tatum's recovering. His recovery off court, he has his own plan. But then on court, I mean, you have these pieces on the team, whether they're young with upside. I mean, Brad Stevens was very adamant about that back in July, acquiring players who are young with upside, who are hungry, who want to come in and take advantage of a great opportunity for their career. That was a point of emphasis for all the players who the Celtics acquired this summer, whether it was in the draft or even in free agency. And the outlook on those players are exactly what we talked about. the Cornets of the world, the Sam Hauser, the Peyton Pritchards, the Nehemias Quedas, right? Guys who were minimum guys who were two-way guys, maybe even undrafted, guys who are not valuable outside of being developmental projects. The Celtics turned those guys into legitimate rotation players. That's the plan for guys like Minot, Garza, Amari Williams, Max Shulga, Hugo Gonzalez, RJ Lewis Jr. Maybe, I mean, I understand he was involved in a trade, so I can't say how much the Celtics actually like him or not, but all these other guys, the Celtics definitely went out and tried to acquire. And then on top of that, you have the rest of the roster. I mean, Sam Hauser. People aren't talking about Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser is going to get a chance to start this year. I mean, that's a huge role increase for Sam Hauser, who's been essentially a sixth man on the Celtics, or really he's really been a seventh, eighth man on the Celtics. If you really, he's one of the first guys off the bench almost every game. But Sam Hauser, he's going to get a chance to start this year. I mean, that's his opportunity in front of himself. He has a chance to prove that he's worth more money than $10 million. I mean, we think, Sam Hauser not worth $10 million. Sam Hauser's of the mentality that he wants to make more than $10 million in the future. I mean, I guarantee you that. I mean, he's definitely going to be playing with that chip on his shoulder ultimately when his next contract comes due. That's where Sam Hauser's opportunity lays. That's kind of the roadmap for him, right? Look at some of the other guys on the roster. Shireman, can you be a consistent rotation player? Jaylen Brown, I mean, is he gonna make big money beyond his max deal? I mean, Jaylen Brown's max deal, everybody talks about it, and yes, it's quite a hefty deal. But I will say, well, Jaylen Brown, could he make more money in the future? So you just go down the Celtics roster. Anthony Simons, he's on a contract year. He's in a contract year. Next season is Simons's last year. He doesn't have any long-term money. Simons's last year on his contract is next year. His plan is essentially, I mean, he wants to make more money in the future. He wants to win, prove himself to be a winning player, prove himself to be a number one guy, or rather a solidified top tier guy in the league. And he wants to make more money in his career. Pritchard, he wants to make more than $7 million. I guarantee you this. And so you look at the entire Celtics roster. I mean, the direction is in place. And while Tatum's recovering, the players, right, are still there. Derek White is still there. Jaylen Brown is still there. Simons, Pritchard. These guys are all talented. Yes, the Celtics have lost some talent, but they still have some talent at the top end of the roster, especially the two pillars, Brown and Tatum. Those are always the guys the Celtics are going to build around, is Brown and Tatum. You have the two pillars still there, right? It's like other teams across the league. Once you have the pillars, you start building around the pillars. That's who Brown and Tatum are. They are the pillars of the franchise. The Celtics are still in a massively great spot to build around Tatum and Brown. The young guys, Celtics are trying to bring the young guys up into rotation players, from minimum guys, from two-way guys to $10 million guys, like we saw this past half decade with other players within the Celtics organization. The mid-tier guys, they're basically going from you're either not in the rotation and now you're slotting into the rotation, or you're into the rotation and now you're asked to play a bigger role in the rotation. All of those guys, that's the plan with them. And then, of course, the biggest one is Tatum and his recovery. I mean, the pieces are there for the Boston Celtics. The plan is in place, the definitive direction, and that's what just makes the Celtics organization different from all the other organizations in the NBA. And I will say, credit to other organizations, they have the same definitive plan set in place. There are some respectable organizations out there, but some of them on this media day, you look at the Pelicans, you look at others, right? You go, what? The Pelicans, you could just traded away your first round pick, but you are not setting expectations to make the playoffs next year. How does that make any sense, right? That right now the Celtics, if you hear Brad Stevens talk, if you hear Joe Mazzulla talk, if you hear all the players talk, anybody, right? The plan is in place. There's nothing they say where you go, that doesn't make any sense. The plan is in place. And the Celtics this season, they're going to try and execute that plan as the season rolls upon us. However, that is going to do it here for us today on CTW Live. The season is right around the corner, folks. October 8th, 2025, all right? About a week away. More than a week, a little bit more than a week away. The Celtics return. They return against the Memphis Grizzlies down in Memphis, Tennessee, of course, just 4 hours south of where I'm at right now in St. Louis. The Celtics return against the Memphis Grizzlies for their first preseason game of the 25-26 NBA season. But what I want to say is we will have you covered for that game on Celtics Talk Weekly post-game live. Do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, and turn on post notifications for the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube channel so you do not miss that live, along with many other lives just like this one. We give out great Celtics content. We'll be giving out great Celtics content and even NBA content all season long. And right now, folks, I'm a little amped. I got to say, I'm a little amped because Media Day, we're here. This is kind of the first day of the season for the media and even for the players, because you got to think about media in this way. Players for months, right? Players for months, right? From June to September, basically October. We'll use the month of October, but basically April to October, May to October, June to October. Players are out of the spotlight. Players in those months choose whether or not they want to be in the spotlight, choose whether or not they want to go to Pro-Am tournaments, choose whether or not they want to do promotional events, choose whether or not they want to be part of media endeavors. Players choose whether or not they want to be in front of the public spotlight from basically the months of either April, May, June to October, and depending on when a team is eliminated or even wins the finals, right? But players through that time pick and choose when they're in front of the media. The rest of the year, right? Today is day one, right? October. Well, first of all, it's September 29th that you see here on the bottom of the screen, but basically October all the way to the point where a team gets eliminated or wins the finals, of course, in April, May, and June. The players don't pick when they're in the public spotlight. They'll be in the public spotlight every other day during games in front of 20,000 plus fans, right? In arenas every other night, plus in front of the media. And not only that, players go out, they'll be in different cities. During the offseason, a player might be in Cancun for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, and they're not even in America, right? Well, now players, they'll be all around America in different cities. They're going to be going out. Citizens, right? There's the citizens of America. I mean, fans, right? I was going to say just people in general, right? People in general will be able to connect with players off the court. So this day right here is basically the first day of school. I mean, media day is like the first day of school for the NBA, for NBA players, for the media who covers NBA players and NBA teams ultimately. I mean, NBA teams, NBA players. But this is the first day. This is right here, right now, where we're at right now. This is the first day of the 25-26 season. From here on out, we'll be hearing from players at practice, before games, after games, during games. We'll be hearing from players almost every day of the week, all the way until April, May, June, when teams get eliminated and players get to go their merry ways off into their offseason. The offseason, folks, has officially concluded. I can say that at the end of this broadcast, but had to give that my little spiel on that before we closed it out here, because had to say that's the perspective of media day that I feel like the fans need, right? This is, I know the basketball hasn't started yet, but this is very much the first day of the season. However, that's going to do it. Oh, there we go. That's going to do it for us here on CTW Live. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. And of course, do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, and turn on post notifications to the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube channel, the Celtics Talk Weekly Instagram page. Of course, don't forget to follow our other Instagram affiliates, Celtics.everyday, that is myself, Celtics Nation Rise, that's Griffin Aldrich, and of course, Celtics Rising, Justin Lowe. So do not forget to like and follow all of those pages. Go check us out, folks. But that is going to do it for me here on CTW Live. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Thank you all for watching. And as we always say, go Celtics.